What is the most fucked up thing that happened in Reddit? The woman and legal advisor was being investigated by CPS while pregnant with her first child, which is not something CPS does. Here it was not a real caseworker and just a woman trying to steal her baby. Wait, what? This woman was pregnant and a social worker showed up at her house claiming they had received concerns about her and her partner. I believe her partner had a drug charge, weed, from when he was a teenager, and that was allegedly the concern. Both parents immediately take drug tests and pass and assume that should be it. Instead, the woman tells them she can't guarantee baby won't immediately be taken from them after birth and they'll lose custody. Mom is obviously panicked and very confused. Goes to legal advice sub for help on how to keep her baby and what legal assistance she can receive. Everyone on the sub tells her something is not right and to not let this woman into her home anymore and to contact CPS to talk to a different caseworker about their situation. Things become extremely concerning when many CPS workers from her state enter the thread and tell her CPS can't investigate a fetus, only a living child who's been born. OP contacts a lawyer and the authorities and finds out this woman does not work for CPS and most likely was planning on showing up to the hospital right after she gave birth and kidnapped the baby under the guise of being CPS. I would say the woman that found out her husband and father of her 4 kids was also the father of her mother's twins, her half-brothers, and her husband had been her mother since he was like 18. That was a wild death ride. This is definitely not as bad as some of these posts, but it stuck with me pretty bad cause I'm passionate about taking good care of our pets. I'm pretty active in r/chameleons and this girl a while back posted photos of her animal asking for advice. She talked about how her chameleon hadn't had a bowel movement in months. In the photos you can clearly see this poor baby was so severely impacted and bloated that their solidified GI tract had stabbed through their flesh like a little pinky finger poking through their rib cage. I was shocked and scrolled to the next photo thinking it was another angle or something. Turns out it was a photo that was more recent. It was worse. So much worse. The wound was now the size of a nickel and you could clearly see this poor baby's internal organs. Its intestines were hanging out and angling outside of it. It was fucked. I couldn't believe that poor thing was still alive and kicking. I still have no clue how that's possible. I took screenshots of it and considered reporting them for animal abuse, but they deleted their post and account before I could get more info on them to make the report. It was awful. That parasite man who loved being covered in parasites, breeding parasites and worst of all infecting others unknowingly. Worst of all, he referred to them as his children. I hope that S was fake. I'm sorry. What? Yeah, I remember reading this post. He went in depth about how he loved the idea and sensation of parasites living inside him and feeding off, and he did everything he could to have as many parasites as possible in him. He referred to them as his children, and I specifically remember him saying he would go to good buffets and spread his children and the food, getting off on the fact that he was infecting others. The one where the daughter of a crack addict who had an abusive boyfriend flushed the supply and listened to the boyfriend beat her mom to death while she hit her little sister. One that sticks with me recently is the one where the woman found out her husband was sleeping with her mother and her twin brothers were actually her husband's kids. Wasn't the husband groomed at 15, 17ish to date the daughter, so her mother would have sexual access to him? Fucked. Yeah, the woman is evil. She abused the husband, and from the story it seems like she emotionally abused the wife too. A kid wrote that he hated his sister who had special needs. Op's sister had suffered severe brain damage at birth due to hypoxia. He describes how it affects her in detail. https://b.stofreddit.com/r/jv/i_hate_my_special_him_done/hiding/ in his post. His mom apparently deluded herself into thinking that his sister's condition would improve and left the family destitute in pursuit of ineffectual and unrealistic treatment. She relied on Op to be her caregiver and never wanted him to leave their home. Op was a teenager and she basically destroyed any chance of a social life because she always insisted that he bring along his quite literally brain dead sister wherever he went. He finally confronted her about all of this when she wanted him to bring his sister along with him to a date. It reads like it was Op's first time to challenge his mom, and that his literal lifetime of pent-up resentment was unleashed all at once. Coincidentally, she hung herself 3 weeks later. Op's father had divorced his mom many years earlier, and in the ensuing years she had forbidden Op from contacting him. Op finally got to contact his father following his mom's suicide, and his dad said, "No, I have a new family now, and have moved on." His sister has been moved into a home. He moved in with a friend. There have been no further updates. He's 16. The man who posted about his wife cheating on him. The wife was real nasty about it when he confronted her and even made him apologize for outing her lover to his wife. The man posts on Reddit, "What should I do? This is still bothering me." Reddit, of course, leave that be as soon as possible, so he files for divorce. The day he tells her, the crazy wife then murders their 2 small children while he is asleep in the basement. He updated Reddit a few days later with what happened. It was national news. The only reason I know about it is because I watched a Reddit vid on it a few weeks ago. IDK if it counts. But the suspect in the Idaho murders posted a survey on here for former convicts to fill out. It's pretty chilling to me because it's almost like he was studying how to commit the perfect murder, and it was so easy to masquerade it as research. The guy who made that long post about how he tried heroin for fun and ended up getting addicted ruined his whole life in the span of a few posts. The whole entirety of gore subreddits, the now banned Watch People Die, and some of the sexual subreddits that revolve around disturbing fetishes. There was a post about a woman who wanted to know how to protect herself in the event she were raped and taken into the woods, or something like that. She wanted to know what evidence could be left behind, or something along those lines. Turned out when people reviewed the Op's history, it was a man. And very clearly it was someone trying to plan a crime. I'm not sure if I'm remembering it correctly, but it was super fucked up. I hope that person hasn't harmed anyone since the years have passed. One that sticks with me was a guy confessing he was having a surgery with a poor chance of survival and hadn't told his family. The comments obviously flooded support, and Op promised to update everyone after surgery but never did. I checked back again and again for a year just in case, but I don't think they made it. The one, besides the ones already mentioned, that stuck with me was a story a few years back that was happening on 4chan and being posted in real time to Reddit. I didn't see it on 4C, but followed this on Reddit as it was happening. A guy went to his girlfriend's house, had rough sex with her, beat her brutally, and then strangled her to death. Wrote stuff all over her body and left her in a particularly grotesque and revealing position specifically so that her autistic son, 13 if I recall, would find her like that. Evidently he smashed her face in and killed the cat as well. He was describing what he did to her, posting pictures of her as she was dying/dead. Of all the things he said, it was "she fought so damn hard that did me in." That and being haunted by that poor kid finding his mother like that. That post filed an appeal in 2020 trying to shorten his sentence on technicalities, but thankfully it was struck down. A couple years back there was an askreddit thread asking about people who accidentally killed someone. What happened? Someone posted on it stating that as children, they used to play at this place in the outskirts of town with a huge river and cliffs. There was this special needs kid that him and a group of other kids pushed off a tall hill on a super rainy day. They freaked out, ditched him and went home, swearing to keep the whole thing a secret from their parents. Apparently the kid went missing, probably died where he fell, and his body was scavenged by animals, or he fell into the river while injured because he noticed that the kid was missing and it was on the news. Someone replied to the post and posted an unresolved missing child case from decades ago, and it matched the story. He even looked into the post's Reddit history and noticed that he mentioned moving back to his childhood town, which was the town the missing kid was from. He also posted geographical data of where a river and cliffs would be located within walking distance of a school. The posts were all deleted apparently. There was a guy who did a true off my chest where he talks about making friends with this guy at his gym. Ended up bringing him home for dinner and the guy's wife literally had a breakdown because apparently this new friend of her husband's was actually a man who had previously raped/stalked her in the past. Wife ended up going to stay with friends/family. Post got deleted. Not sure if there was ever any update. Was on best of Redditor updates recently. The man never saw his wife again. The friend was in fact looking for the woman and knew he was her husband. Husband was so regretful he didn't recognize friend. The kid who killed himself as a teenager after being tormented at school for smelling like fesses all the time. His dad had been pimping him out since he was 4, so he was completely tore up. It is literally the saddest, most disgusting thing I have ever seen on this site and can't even bring myself to talk about it, even with close friends. Nobody should have to know that sort of evil exists, and only reason I'm sharing it here is to answer the question. I think it's an important reminder that you're almost guaranteed to be sex trafficked by someone you know and are close to than being snatched off the streets. As a trafficking survivor, thank you for this reminder to people. Yeah, occasionally it's a stranger, but most of the time it's not. Don't block the shoulder. https://np reddit.com/r/adversinamals/1k/gain_strength_from_there_and_anger/cbnhvxv/guy and his friend work over the summer clearing trees with professional arborists. Friend cuts himself open with his chainsaw. Blood everywhere. They throw him in a car and try to rush him to the hospital. More blood everywhere. They hit traffic on the freeway, so they use the shoulder. A couple of self-appointed highway vigilantes see them coming and block the shoulder. They scream and yell at them to move. They don't move. They scream and yell some more. They don't move. Friend's pulse is fading fast. This goes on for 10 minutes until they finally get around them at an exit ramp. A cop shows up and escorts them to a waiting ambulance a couple of miles down the highway. The EMTs load friend in and take off. But it's too late. He dies less than a mile from the hospital. One of the vigilante shoulder blockers shows up a few minutes later and stops to complain at the cop about the shitty drivers. Then notices the thoroughly blood-soaked men at the side of the road. Cop shows her the car that looks worse, that when Marvin got shot in the face in Pulp Fiction. Then cites her for a bunch of stuff. The second vigilante gets stopped and ticketed by another cop. Don't block the shoulder. People, you don't know why someone is driving on it illegally. They may be assholes. Sure, they probably are assholes. But it's possible that they have a really good reason for doing that. Not sure if it's the same. But the fact that a woman was posting often about her large family, and then her account went quiet, and it turned out that her 2 sons had killed the family and planned to then go on and kill a bunch of others. The baby sister was spared, and another sister played dead so she could wait it out and survived. Really messed up story. Edit. The Bever family. So messed up and so sad. Edit 2. The Broken Arrow murders. There's info on wiki. And some comments below explain more. I was going off of memory when I commented and was half asleep. The Broken Arrow killings. Heard about it in an askreddit thread. There was one on relationship advice where a guy was asking how to deal with his paranoid wife after she made friends with a fellow mum who suggested his working long hours was him cheating. He wrote a few posts where he detailed this friend being an issue, then how to deal with his wife when she got physically abusive. Eventually he took the kids, put her in some sort of psychiatric facility, and she got out and killed herself. Final post was him saying how the friend that kicked it all off wanted to say words at her funeral and he didn't want her there at all. The woman who walked in her house in the middle of the day only to hear moaning and sex sounds. When she walked to see what was going on, she found her daughter and husband having sex. The worst part was the daughter was begging her not to do anything because she loved her dad. Her dad had groomed her from a young age, so she had no clue how wrong it all was.